Hey, what's going on? It's Amy Nicholas, and today I wanted to just share day trading wins, mistakes, experiences. It was a profitable day, yay. That to me is not necessarily what I consider, the criteria for a successful trading day. For me, success is following my rules and executing the trade according to my own rules and strategy. And in that regards, yes, it was a successful day. I did what I was supposed to do. However, there was some interesting glitches, learning curve. I am using Thinkorswim platform, and it's kind of a steep learning curve for me. Last week was my first experience using it for a full week, and I would practice with it by trading just like one share of something and trying to just see if the buttons worked according to what I thought they were going to do. And the challenge with today was I was, number one, decided to go with a slightly larger stop loss. So instead of risking my normal $10 per trade, I felt confident in going up to as much as 20 if I felt like, that was a good trade to get into with that kind of wider stop. And the first trade, I decided also to test something new, which is what I was first mistake, but it worked out. So it's one of these like, oh, well, I should have did this like in a slower time of day with one share versus a full size lot. So anyways, I bought 40 shares of TSLQ, which is the inverse ETF or bearish ETF for Tesla. Seeing that Tesla was looking somewhat bullish this morning, I knew it was sort of a false front and that it was going to start selling off once the markets kind of, figured out the first couple of minutes and which direction they were going to go. And I was like, yeah, I don't see it going up. So I tried something new, which was a trailing stop loss, and I was very proud of myself for figuring that out and executing it. What ended up happening in the first trade, which did go according to plan, but I was still testing something new, was that the trailing stop moved. I had set it at 40 cents and it moved with my trade. So as I was going into profit, well, away from, where I'd bought in, going into profit up, it would follow it. So I'd set it 45 cents was my trailing stop. And it went off and I was like, oh, and I realized the stop had been hit. But this was the first time I'd ever set up a stop and been in profit, because before I would try to just wait for my take profit, amount, and if it didn't hit it, maybe bring it back down a little. And then, if the trade starts reversing against you, if it hits your stop loss, you're at a loss, right? Like you've lost money at that point. So what ended up happening was I was 12 cents a share in profit and ended up making $4.80. Woohoo! And I was like, okay, I'm green. I got out really quickly. I'm just gonna take another trade, because I was like in and out within like a minute, I think. And so I took another one, same share size. This one I think I set my stop slightly lower. It's like 42 cents instead of 45. And did the trailing stop. Now here I was trying to use the buttons that are on Thinkorswim, and there's these quick buttons where you can hit, buy at market, sell at market. There's a couple variations of that. So sort of playing with that a little bit, and then realizing that you still have to confirm the order. So I'm jumping in at market, and then I was like trying to sell with the trailing stop, and this is where it got confusing, and honestly I don't even know exactly what happened in this trade. I'm like hitting buttons, and I think I accidentally sold like 2 shares instead of my 40, because I was there's a menu in Thinkorswim that's like, it's a default and you have to manually change it, even if your other defaults or something, like my other defaults might be at like 50 or 1 or whatever. It's different in this one window pane. And so it was set to 1. And that's why when I hit like sell, I think I hit sell at market, and then it only sold 1. And I must have hit it again. So I sold like another. So then I try to actually sell the rest of them, and it's rejecting my order because I put in 40 thinking I still had to 40, and it was like, no, you don't have 40 shares. I was like, oh, right, because I just sold these other 2. And anyways, that that was very confusing because everything was moving very quickly this morning. This was about 10 minutes after the open. And this one, I'm not even sure based on my notes here. I must have had a stop in there somewhere. I think what I did was I had a hard stop on this, or no, it was a secondary stop somewhere. I added it later or something. Like I bought at market and then I was like, oh, I gotta set up the stop. So anyways, I did have a trailing stop, but I think I just ended up selling at the market price. And again, not entirely sure what all happened in this trade. I just know that initially I got in at 42.89 and sold at 42.99, 43.31, and I think 43.18. It's like all these different amounts because I'm hitting the buttons and I'm like, wait, something's not going right here. So in my mind, I'm like, oh shoot, like thinking maybe I've already gone in the red, and it ended up making $4.22. And I'm just laughing because I'm like, I barely know what I'm doing here, right? But I was like, okay, we're green on 2 trades. So I was like, let me try to do this like proper, right? So then the third trade, I buy 30 shares. I get in at 42.30, and this one I was the most patient for as I'm watching the charts. And I'll tell you, the one thing I did correctly on this trade was I watched Tesla's chart, because even though I'm buying TSLQ, I never look at TSLQ's actual chart. I'll only ever look at the price because TSLQ is mirroring what Tesla's doing. So for me, I just need to look at Tesla. So I got in when I saw the bands were kind of, the MACD lines were kind of like even, neutral. They weren't really tipping one way or the other. I was like, wait for it, you know? And finally, I see the one signal line start to point a little bit down. And I was like, oh, I'm getting in. So I bought 30 shares that time. And I think I bought in at a limit price. 42.30 is what I wrote down here. So I bought it in at 42.30, and then I just watched and waited and saw the massive sell-off going on with Tesla. This is when Tesla went from, I believe it was like 297 a share all the way down to like 293 it dropped several dollars, which is not going to be as much of a jump on TSLQ, but it's still a great move anytime you can get at least like $1 a share, right? So I ended up doing $1, let's see, I think it was $1.19 a share. Yeah, because I sold at the market, $43.49, and my profit on that was $35.70. So woohoo! That one, you know, I was probably in it for a couple of minutes. Again, not very long. The other ones were very quick. Stuff was moving fast this morning. And then my final one went in with 20 shares of TSLQ at 43.81. And when I saw I had gotten it a little too high, because the previous high of TSLQ I think was like 44, and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm buying it at 43.81. There's not much more room to go here based on what Tesla's doing. And as I started to kind of see it turning, I didn't feel confident anymore about it. I just exited, and that one I earned $2.40. So the day's total was $48.06, and I had 4 green trades in a row, which I've never done before. So it was kind of a milestone for me, even though they're little. For me, it was just like, okay, you know, consider your charts, look at your analysis, see where the market is going. Don't act too soon. Wait for confirmation, you know, wait for those candles. I'm looking at the 1 minute and the 5 minute chart, by the way, for Tesla when I'm doing this. And this was a first for me also to jump in and out of trades like that quickly. Previously been trading very conservatively. I'd take like 1 full-size position trade a day. And then the other times I would just be practicing with 1 share, just buying 1 share. Now what I did notice was that I bought more in terms of capital that was available in my account than I thought. I still had a couple $1,000s open, like for settled funds, but it told me that, oh, right, if you're going to be jumping in and out, like typical day trading, right, you got to make sure those funds are settled if you're doing a cash account, which is what I'm doing. I don't have margin on my account. I just don't feel like I'm anywhere near ready for that yet. So I have about 10K in this account, and I think I ended up using about a little over $5,000 of it. So, you know, I still had room. I could have taken a couple more trades, but I didn't want to get too close. You know, one time I did get a warning from Schwab when I first started trading. and didn't realize I had used more than my available capital because the funds weren't totally settled. They were like, "Well, this is just a warning, but next time, like I was like, oh, okay, whoops." So yeah, it was a good day. Mistakes made where I probably should not have tried to learn new things on Thinkorswim right at the market open when things are busy and volatile. And there was a couple of times where I'm looking at, like, I had bought shares and I didn't know how to get out of the trade. Because I'm like, okay, if I hit sell this, like, I don't have a stop loss, so I need to go over here and do this. And, you can't be in that mindset of clarity and thinking properly when you're trying to figure things out at the same time, because your brain is like panic mode. There was a couple times where I was like, oh shoot, like I don't even know, where my stop should be. I don't know where my take profit should be. And I was like, okay. And then there was one point I put up my chart on Thinkorswim, whatever position you're in. So for me, TSLQ, it will tell you where you had set a stop and where you had set your limit sell, your take profit order. And I saw I had 2 stops on my chart and I had a limit sell, and I was like, wait, what? And it was when I was playing around with the buttons, I had somehow set up a stop instead of the proper order. And I was like, oh shoot, so I'm going in, canceling, getting rid of these weird orders that I didn't mean to place. They were only for like 1 share, thankfully. But yeah, I was definitely like not fully prepared and should have been learning some of these things at a different time. My other goal this week is to also play around with the hotkeys function, which I've never used on Schwab, and just try to play with that. Oh, and the other lesson I learned was my mistake in thinking there's a window where you have your order ticket and everything, and you got your buy market, sell market, buy bid, sell bid, all that. And there's a checkbox that says auto send. And I'm thinking that meant auto send to whichever is the fastest route. So whether it's New York Stock Exchange or one of these other, brokerage exchange routes, I thought that's what it was talking about. So I turned it on, and when I went to hit like buy market or something at one point, it went through immediately. Like as soon as I hit the button, there's no like, are you sure? Confirming your order. It's like immediately. I was like, oh crap, that's what that meant. So auto send meant no, like you hit the button, that's it. It's going right away. There's no are you sure kind of thing there. So anyways, interesting day. It feels good to start the day off green. I tend to see that Mondays are usually like there's lots of action typically. This market since beginning of January has been like this, up and down, which is great if you're day trading. You want volatility, you want volume. And also what I've noticed is the first hour is prime for these moves. The first 45 minutes is even better. So if you can try to get in and out, that's really the best times. And also, when I went back and reviewed my trades and I did my trading journal, which I highly recommend everybody does, keep track of what you're doing. And also, like, if you're thinking a certain way as you're trading, put all that down, because it could come help you later on, whether you were frustrated or angry or whatever and it affected your trading, or whether you were in that flow state, or me, I was just laughing because I'm like making all these mistakes coming out green somehow. But anyways, writing these things down and, reviewing it to kind of see like, okay, what went right, what went wrong. The one thing I noticed was the trade that got me the biggest profit. When I went back and looked at the chart, I saw I had literally captured almost the exact high of TSLQ. So when I waited for that time, I said, I'm waiting to take profit. And when I got that $1.19 a share profit, it literally was like that was the cap. Like that was the top at that point in time. Now I think later in the day, hours later, Tesla went down further, and so TSLQ would have gone up. But yeah, if you're trying to capture these morning moves, be patient. Look at the indicators that make sense to you. I try not to put a bunch of crap on my chart. I just have a moving average line, which I'll sometimes look at the 50-day moving average or the 200-day. And then I'll have the VWAP. That was another one that helped me with these trades, was the volume weighted average price, and looking to see, was Tesla going to stay above it? Because there were times where it would go above it, but it seemed like within the next 30 seconds to a minute, it would reject it. It would come back down below. So I would wait for those rejections before I would jump in and try to short it. So that helped me a lot. And then the MACD, just making sure that when you see your two lines on the MACD chart, that you're waiting for confirmation that if you're shorting like I was today, that you're seeing those lines start to turn down. The signal line starting to cross over your main line there. And if you're going long, if you think that the stock is going up, then of course you would want to see those lines scooping upwards. So there was a couple times where I saw it going up and I was like, no, this is not the time to get in. I was like, wait for that number 3 trade. I was like, wait for it, wait for it to bounce off that VWAP. Then you start to see the confirmation on the MACD. That was a good entry right there. So anyways, just thought I would share today's day trading experience. And if you guys like this one, you can also check out my video I just posted the other day about I tried day trading for 3 months and here's what happened. So you can kind of see where this all started and how it's been going. So take care, guys. I'll see you in the next one.